Hello, Hoops fans. Welcome back to Tips and Streams, your go-to spot for all things NBA betting. As always, it's your host, Kokon here, and I'm super excited to bring you today's jam-packed episode. Stay tuned, and let's get into today's NBA betting predictions on Tips and Streams. The first today's prediction is for the matchup between Charlotte Hornets and Detroit Pistons. Tonight's basketball clash at Little Caesars Arena is set to be a captivating duel, with the Charlotte Hornets going head-to-head against the Detroit Pistons. The Hornets, standing at a 10-31 record, are in a stride, having nailed victories against squads like the Spurs and Timberwolves. Under LaMelo Ball's dynamic leadership, their offense is putting up a solid 108.8 points per game, though their defense is giving up a hefty 119.9 points. On the flip side, the Pistons, though grappling with a tough season at 439, have displayed a fighting spirit in recent outings. Their offense, led by Cade Cunningham and Bojan Bogdanovic, is slightly edging out with 112.4 points per game. Yet, their defense is leaking points, conceding an average of 123 points. Looking at both teams, the Hornets have shown they can spring surprises against formidable opponents despite their challenges. The Pistons, for their part, have a tendency to close gaps, especially when up against Eastern Conference foes. Historically, in head-to-head battles, the Hornets have been dominant over the Pistons, particularly in Detroit. They've consistently won and beaten the spread in their latest Detroit encounters, suggesting a mental edge in this setting. On the injury front, the Hornets are without Terry Rozier, now with Miami Heat, Gordon Hayward, and Mark Williams, with Cody Martin and Nick Richards as maybes. The Pistons are missing Monty Morris and Cade Cunningham, impacting their game-making and scoring. Weighing all this, the Pistons seem primed for a win. They're at home, facing a struggling Hornets team, now without key player Terry Rozier. But the Hornets' recent form, their track record in Detroit, and key performances hint they could keep it tight or even snatch a win. Even though the Pistons are showing grit at home, I can't justify betting on a team with a 4-39 record. Many might disagree, but I'm not backing the Pistons. It's clear-cut for me. This matchup, with its mix of shaky defenses and occasionally explosive offenses, could also lean towards a high-scoring affair, likely surpassing the projected total points. My final take, I'm betting on the Charlotte Hornets to beat the plus 3-point spread. The next today's prediction is for the game between Minnesota Timberwolves and Washington Wizards. In the upcoming hoop battle between the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Washington Wizards, we've got a matchup that's buzzing with potential. Here's the play-by-play. The Timberwolves are coming in hot and cold, sporting a flashy 30-13 win-loss record. These guys have been lighting up the scoreboard with an average of 113.4 points and shooting hoops with a slick 48.9% accuracy. Their defense isn't sleeping either, holding teams to 107.8 points, and they're particularly fierce at shutting down the three-point line. Watch out for Anthony Edwards and Karl Anthony Towns, who've been bringing their A-game consistently. Plus, the Timberwolves have a knack for dominating on the road, especially against teams that are struggling to keep their heads above water. Now flipping over to the Wizards, who've been having a rough ride with a 7-35 record, they've still got some tricks up their sleeve. They're racking up 115.4 points per game, but their defense is like a leaky faucet, giving away 124.9 points on average. Kyle Kuzma and Marvin Bagley are the guys stirring the pot on offense. But when it comes to night games against the big guns, they've been dropping the ball. Looking at their recent face-offs at the Capital One Arena, it's been a rain of points, often breezing past the expected total. The Timberwolves have stumbled a bit on the road and haven't been as sharp lately, but their defensive game could be the trump card. The Wizards, with all their firepower, might hit a wall trying to penetrate Minnesota's defense. Weighing up the stats, Minnesota's defensive prowess, and Washington's home court but shaky defense, I'm leaning towards the Wizards holding their ground against the spread. Expect a scoreboard bonanza, but with Minnesota's recent clampdown on defense, the total points might just duck under the expected mark. To wrap it up, the Timberwolves might clinch the win, but the Wizards, with their scoring chops and considering the hefty spread, are likely to keep it closer than expected. I'm foreseeing a total score that won't cross the 231.5 line, tipping my hat to Minnesota's defensive strength. Betting-wise, I'm backing the Washington Wizards to stay within the 11.5-point spread. The next today's prediction is for the game between Memphis Grizzlies and Miami Heat. Tonight's showdown on the Kaseya Center Court is set to be a sizzler, with the Miami Heat ready to throw down against the Memphis Grizzlies. It's a face-off packed with excitement and high stakes. The Heat, currently at 24-19, are eager to snap out of their unusual three-game skid and get back to their famously gritty gameplay. Meanwhile, the Grizzlies, with a 16-27 tally, are battling their own storms, especially with key players like Desmond Bane and Jaren Jackson Jr. sidelined due to injuries. The Grizzlies have been struggling recently, with injuries and erratic plays dropping their average to 107.8 points on a 43.9% field goal rate. Their injury bench reads like a who's who, with Derrick Rose, Santi Aldama, Desmond Bane, Marcus Smart, and Ja Morant all out, sparking concerns about their scoring power in tonight's matchup. In contrast, the Miami Heat, despite nursing some injuries, have kept a steadier ship. They're netting an average of 110.9 points on 46.4% shooting. Players like Tyler Herro and Bam Adebayo have been delivering consistently, and with Terry Rozier now in the mix, their offense might just get the jolt it needs. The Grizzlies have been scrappy and resilient, like their recent win over the Raptors shows. But the Heat's edge on their home court and their knack for bouncing back against Southwest Division rivals post-loss can't be ignored. A crucial element tonight is the three-point game. The Grizzlies are bottom of the league with a 34.2% success rate from downtown, while the Heat, at 37.8%, could exploit this, especially with a sharpshooter like Tyler Herro, who's ninth in the league for threes per game. Trend-wise, the Heat are the safer bet, with a stronger recent record against the spread than the Grizzlies. But the Grizzlies have been plucky underdogs in past clashes with the Heat, making the spread a close call. All in all, while the Grizzlies bring the hustle and heart, the Heat's solid lineup, home court upper hand, and sharper shooting give them the edge as potential winners. Yet, the Grizzlies' grit, particularly as the underdog, means they could well defy the 10-point spread. For the total points, I'm banking on under 203.5, given both teams' current form and offensive challenges. So, for tonight's epic battle, I'm calling a win for the Miami Heat and a spread cover by the Memphis Grizzlies, but I'm wagering on total points staying south of 213.5. The next today's prediction is for the game between Oklahoma City Thunder and San Antonio Spurs. As we gear up for the showdown between the Oklahoma City Thunder and the San Antonio Spurs, there's a whole playbook to dissect. The Thunder are storming the court with a killer record of 30-13, really flexing their muscles this season. They're dropping buckets left and right, averaging a sizzling 121.74 points per game. These guys know how to light up the scoreboard. On defense, they're no slouches either, holding teams to 113.67 points per game. Their shooting game is on fire, with a solid 50.35% from the field, and they're nailing it from downtown too, with a 39.11% rate from the three-point line. On the boards, they're snagging around 40.95 rebounds per game. Not top of the league, but nothing to scoff at. And their assist game, smooth as silk, with 27.40 assists per game, showing top-notch teamwork. Now, the Spurs, sitting at 835, haven't been having the best run this season. They're racking up 112.52 points per game, decent but not quite Thunder level. Defensively, they're on the back foot, letting through 121.45 points per game. Their shooting's a bit off the mark too, with a 45.95% field goal rate and a 34.60% clip from beyond the arc. They do have a slight edge on the rebounding front with 43.02 boards per game, and their passing game is pretty solid, dishing out 29.29 assists per game. Diving into their recent face-offs, the Thunder have been dominating, winning 7 out of their last 10 encounters and beating the spread in 8 of them. In San Antonio's house, Thunder's been ruling, grabbing 3 wins and beating the spread in 4 of the past 6 showdowns. The Thunder are in a back-to-back situation, having faced 6 already this season and coming out on top in 4. This shows they've got the stamina and skill to keep their game strong, even with tight schedules. The Spurs haven't really shown they can handle back-to-backs against tough opponents. All things considered, the smart bet's on the Oklahoma City Thunder to rule the court in this matchup. With their superior offense and defense, plus their recent track record against the Spurs, they're the team to watch. But with the Spurs' knack for covering spreads and the Thunder's back-to-back challenge, this game might be closer than the numbers say. The Spurs could pull off covering the spread at home, but the Thunder's efficiency and form make them the likely victors. So, here's the play. I'm calling a win for the Oklahoma City Thunder and the San Antonio Spurs to cover the 8-point spread in what's shaping up to be a nail-biter, but my money's on the total points staying under the 241.5 line. The next today's prediction is for the game between Portland Trail Blazers and Houston Rockets. In tonight's showdown at the Toyota Center, the Portland Trail Blazers, battling through a tough season with a 12-31 record, are gearing up to take on the Houston Rockets, who are sitting at a 20-22 record. This face-off is packed with intrigue, as the Trail Blazers, despite their season's hurdles, have shown a solid knack for outperforming the odds in recent face-offs with the Rockets, particularly when they're playing away. Diving into the stats, the Trail Blazers have been making waves with their ability to outplay the odds in their last 5 away games against the Rockets, boasting a remarkable 5-0 record against the odds in these clashes, suggesting they've got a special groove going when they hit the court in Houston. However, their overall game this season, especially on the road, hasn't been shining, with a 0-5 record in their last 5 away games. On the flip side, the Houston Rockets have been flexing their muscles in home games, holding a strong 14-6 record in their last 20 games at the Toyota Center. This home court mojo could be a game-changer in tonight's matchup. Yet, it's interesting to note that the Rockets have been tripping over the odds in their recent home games against the Trail Blazers, stumbling at 0-5 against the odds in their last 5 home encounters. Injury-wise, both teams are hitting some snags. The Trail Blazers are without Moses Brown and Shaedon Sharpe, while the Rockets have Jalen Green as a maybe, and Tari Eason out of the game. These gaps could shake up team strategies and performances. Statistically, the Rockets seem to have the edge in several key areas, like a better field goal percentage, 45.92% compared to the Trail Blazers' 43.45%, and a slight lead in three-pointers. They also top the Trail Blazers in rebounds and assists per game. However, the Trail Blazers have been holding their own against the odds lately, especially in their games against the Rockets. Looking at the stats and recent trends, tonight's game is likely to push past the bookmakers' 221.5-point line. The Portland Trail Blazers, with their track record of outdoing the odds in Houston, are poised to keep up this streak, making them a solid pick to beat the 10.5-point odds set for tonight's game. Wrapping it up, I get that the Portland Trail Blazers aren't exactly the dream team, and backing them might seem iffy. But what exactly have the Houston Rockets done recently to earn the tag of double-digit favorites? The Rockets are barely scraping by in their games, much less winning by big margins, and they've missed the mark against the odds in 8 of their last 10 games. The Trailblazers, on the down low, have beaten the odds in 4 of their last 5 games. I'm not putting money on this game, but I'm leaning towards the Trailblazers likely beating this double-digit odds, especially with their recent track record against the odds in Houston. Expect the total points to soar above the 221.5-point line. The next today's prediction is for the game between Cleveland Cavaliers and Milwaukee Bucks. Tonight's face-off on the hardwood between the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Milwaukee Bucks is gearing up to be a barn burner. Both squads are flexing some serious muscle this season. The Bucks, boasting a hefty 30-13 win-loss record, have been ruling their court kingdom with a dominating 19-4 home record. Spearheaded by the hoop hero Giannis Antetokounmpo, their offensive game is on fire, dropping a hefty 124.6 points per game. But their defense, it's been on the ropes, giving up a concerning 120.5 points per game. Flipping the script, the Cavaliers are hitting the court with a solid 26-15 record, showing they can bring the heat on the road with an 11-7 record. Riding high on an 8-game hot streak, thanks to Donovan Mitchell's slam dunk performances and a defense that's choking out the competition, allowing a mere 109.7 points on average. A game-changer here is the recent face-offs these two have had. The Cavaliers have proven they're no pushovers against the Bucks, highlighted by a jaw-dropping 40-point blowout against Milwaukee. That victory wasn't just a fluke. It's a loud shout-out to their rising game and clutch performance under pressure. Despite the Bucks' fortress at home and their scoring juggernaut, the Cavaliers' recent hot streak and defensive wall make them a serious threat to shake up the spread. The Bucks, despite playing host, are showing some cracks in their armor, no thanks to their sieve-like defense and the recent coaching shakeup with Adrian Griffin's exit, nudged along by Giannis. It's a whirlwind over there, and who knows what's coming next, especially with whispers of Doc Rivers stepping in as coach. But right now, it's all about the Cavaliers, who are on an 8-game winning tear and have been beating the spread in 7 of their last 8 games. Remember their 40-point thrashing of the Bucks? Sure, Giannis was out, and it was in Cleveland, but a 40-point win is a statement, period. Wrapping it up, while the Bucks pack an offensive punch and have the home court edge, the Cavaliers' momentum and ironclad defense set them up nicely to beat the spread. It's shaping up to be a tight contest, but with the Cavs' recent form and their knack for stepping up against top-tier teams like the Bucks, they're looking like the smart bet. So, the smart play? Bet on the Cavaliers to conquer that plus 7-point spread. As for the total score, expect it to hover below 236.5 thanks to the Cavaliers' recent defensive clampdown. The next today's prediction is for the game between Atlanta Hawks and Golden State Warriors. In the upcoming showdown between the Atlanta Hawks and the Golden State Warriors, Hoops fans are in for a real treat. The Warriors, sitting at 18-22, are shaking off some heavy emotional dust after losing assistant coach Dejan Milojevic and dealing with the delay of their recent games. This could fire them up or throw off their game groove. Watch out for Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Jonathan Kuminga. These guys are the heartbeat of the Warriors, packing a serious punch in offense and defense. On the flip side, the Hawks, holding an 18-25 tally, are bouncing back from a stumble against the Sacramento Kings. They've been lighting up the scoreboard with an average of 119.7 points per game, but their defense is letting them down, giving up 122.4 points on average. Keep your eyes on DeJounte Murray, especially if Trae Young's riding the bench due to injury. Diving into the numbers, the Hawks are struggling against the spread, going 4-12 in their last 16. They've been part of a trend where the total points dip below expectations in their recent games. The Warriors, meanwhile, are 2-4 against the spread in their last 6, with their games tending to burst past the total points line in 4 of their last 5. Both squads are neck and neck this season. The Hawks are scoring slightly higher, but also letting more slip through defensively. The Warriors have the upper hand in shooting accuracy and rebounding. but the Hawks have had the Warriors' number recently, winning 5 out of their last 7 matchups. Given the Warriors' recent emotional roller coaster and possible lack of rhythm, along with the Hawks' solid track record against them, the Hawks might just edge out to cover the spread. As for total points, the safe bet seems to be on the lower side. The Hawks' recent games show them lagging in offensive efficiency, and the Warriors, while stronger at home, haven't been shooting lights out either. In short, it's a solid bet to back the Atlanta Hawks to beat the 7.5-point spread. And with both teams not firing on all cylinders, banking on the total points to stay under 234 looks like a smart play. Remember, in sports betting, the latest trends and info are your best allies. Keep them close when you're calling the shots on the game. The last prediction for today is for the matchup between Phoenix Suns and Dallas Mavericks. Tonight's clash at the American Airlines Center promises to be an epic showdown as the Phoenix Suns and Dallas Mavericks go toe-to-toe in a hardwood battle that's sure to set the court ablaze. The Suns, armed with their high-octane trio, Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal, are riding the wave of a 6-game hot streak, flaunting an offensive firepower that's tough to rival. Durant, the scoring wizard, is consistently netting an impressive 29.6 points per game with a stellar 53% field goal accuracy, while Booker's silky scoring finesse contributes 26. 7 points per game, and Beal remains the X-factor, capable of erupting for big points on any given night. On the flip side, the Mavericks boast their dynamic duo, Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving. Doncic, a stat sheet stuffer and triple-double machine, is racking up a jaw-dropping 33.6 points, 8.5 rebounds, and 9.3 assists per game. His imposing stature, sniper-like shooting, and slick playmaking make him a threat anywhere on the court. Kyrie, with his arsenal of offensive moves, is the perfect complement to Doncic. Looking at recent form and stats, the Suns are scorching, having clinched their last 6, but they've hit a snag when it comes to beating the spread with a 5-14-1 record in their last 20. They've got the knack for outright wins, but find the spread a tougher nut to crack. The Mavericks, meanwhile, have had a mixed run lately, with a 2-4 record both straight up and against the spread in their recent games. But they've shown stronger form on their home turf, particularly when it comes to beating the spread. In recent matchups, the Mavericks have had the Suns' number, taking 7 out of the last 10 meetings, including a commanding 14-point victory on the road last Christmas. This record, along with their home court prowess, positions them as a formidable challenge for the Suns. Injury updates could be a game-changer here. The Suns are sweating over the fitness of Eric Gordon and Bol Bol, while the Mavericks have concerns about Seth Curry, Dante Exum, and most critically, Luka Doncic. The availability of these players could pivot the game's momentum significantly, with the Suns playing some of their finest basketball this season, especially with the Booker, Durant, and Beal combo. They're in contention here. But Luka's playing status is a big if at the moment. The Mavs have dominated the Suns in 7 of their last 10 encounters, including a significant Christmas road win. Assuming Luka and Kyrie are in, I'm leaning towards the Mavericks to not just beat the spread, but possibly secure a win. Given the Mavericks' robust performance at home and the Suns' struggles to beat the spread, along with their head-to-head history, Dallas seems to have the upper hand in this matchup. Considering the Suns' road efficiency and the Mavericks' recent scoring patterns, this game might not hit the high points expected by the over-under line. I'm betting on the Dallas Mavericks to beat the 2-point spread, with the total points likely falling below 240.5.